All right. We'll call to order the North College Hill City Council meeting. This is Monday, October 1st, 2021, 7 p.m. So I do not have the prayer. Mike did not send it to me, and I have not committed it to memory. So I'm going to probably move through that to the pledge. So can we all stand to the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's play ball. All right. First up on the agenda is roll call today.
Ms. Dukes-Dean.
Present.
Ms. Blythe.
Here.
Ms. Underwood.
Here.
Mr. Miller-Novak.
Here.
Ms. Zorb.
Here.
Ms. Anderson.
Here.
All present.
Okay, real quick, Mr. Graver called me and he was unable to attend today. So everybody on council knows it. For people in the audience, I'm not the president of city council, but when he cannot make it, I'm the person who is kind of like the pinch hitter for him when he's not here. So if you came here just to see Mike Graver in action, I'm sorry. He's not going to be here today. It's going to be me. All right, moving on. So today the agenda, I am holding today's agenda, but I think I already heard that someone had an amendment to the agenda.
Yes, Mr. President.
Ms. Underwood.
I would like to move to amend the agenda to add a speaker, Ms. Glenda Smith, who would like to speak to us about the Glenda Smith Youth Sanctuary.
Okay. I mean, usually when there's a guest speaker, I kind of prefer they go sooner than later so they can leave.
Yeah.
So, does it make sense to just sneak her in communications?
Or right
Is that
before.
okay? Like right after we do the minutes?
That's what I would think.
All right.
Add that to the motion if need be.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend the agenda to add, Ms.
Glenda Smith.
Glenda Smith to the agenda during communication. Any second?
Mr. President, I'll second that.
Ms. Zorb, second. So I have a motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Zorb. Any discussion? Probably not. So can we call the vote?
Ms. Dukes-Dean.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Miller-Novak.
Yes.
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to amend passes 6-0.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adopt the agenda as amended.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt the amended agenda. Does anybody second?
Mr. President,
What?
I'll second that.
Okay, there we go. We have a motion and a second. We call the vote.
Ms. Dukes-Dean.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Mr. Miller-Novak.
Yes.
Ms. Zorb.
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Motion to adopt passes 6-0.
Great, super. So we'll move on to the meeting minutes. I was not here on 9/20, so I'm probably not going to weigh in, but anybody else have time to review the minutes? Any comments?
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll move to adopt the meeting minutes from September 20th, 2021.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Anderson,
I'll second that.
second by Ms. Zorb. Any discussion? Going once, going twice. Can you call the vote, Ms. DeWald?
Ms. Dukes-Dean.
Yes.
Ms. Blythe.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt the minutes passes 6-0.
Okay, very cool. All right, so we'll move to communication. Before I call you up, we'll see if we have received any communications from the public or otherwise. Ms. DeWalden?
Otherwise, I've not received anything from the public. I did receive, oddly enough, this is addressed to Cheryl Long, so I don't know why it didn't end up with Mr. Mosby, but it ended up in my mailbox.
Okay.
And it, Ms. Underwood, you may be interested in this. It is, why does cyber liability, or what does cyber liability cover? So it's all about your risks and your sources to go to for coverage on documents that are downloaded to the internet. And I know that you guys have said you're discussing Civic Plus, I believe. So if you're interested, this is available to you.
Great. Cool. Anything else? That's it? Ms. DeWalden? That's it?
That's it.
That's it? Okay. I didn't want to
Oh,
cut
sorry.
you off if you weren't done.
And
That was too soon. That was a good joke. All right, so let's move on. I'm sorry, ma'am. Glenda Smith, why don't you go ahead and take the lectern? We'll give you a few minutes here. You can introduce yourself and tell us what you come here for.
Hi, my name is Glenda A. Smith. I'm here to talk to you about the Glenda A. Smith Youth Sanctuary and what it has to offer the citizens in College Hill as well as the rest of Hamilton County.
Ms. Smith, I'm sorry. Could you get closer to the mic, please?
Okay.
There
Is
you
that
go. Thank
better?
you.
Okay. The mission of the Glenda A. Smith Youth Sanctuary is to bring nonprofits, businesses, and other entities together to bring resources to children and families to maximize their potential. We do this in 3 ways. The first service that we provide is a Zoom youth discussion series, and it meets weekly for 1 hour and is for children ages 9 to 18. We talk about basic questions like, who am I, why was I created? It's biblically based, and children who attend 4 sessions receive a gift card. You can go to gasmithys.com to get the meeting ID to attend that Zoom youth discussion series. And I'll leave some information here with council, and maybe council can post it. The second thing that we do is we give out free gift cards to anyone who needs some assistance. And you can use the gift cards for food, gasoline, crock pot, coat, whatever is you feel is needed. And all that is requested is that you give us your name, your address, and how many people are in the family. And that information stays with the nonprofit, the Glenda A. Smith Youth Sanctuary, which is a 501c3, and it does not go anywhere else. It's just for accountability purposes inside of our organization. And you can you can email gasmithys@gmail.com. And again, I hope that this gets posted. There are times when we just work with someone in the community and provide it to that person because they have boots on the ground. We don't. And we can work that way as well. The third thing that we're doing is raising money to build a youth residential facility for homeless youth on property that has been designated to us by a church. And we're looking forward to that. And there we'll teach faith, work ethic, and charity. And the reason why this nonprofit was birthed is because I am a product of a single parent. I was raised in public housing, and because of my faith, work ethic, and charity. I'm a practicing attorney, have several degrees, master's in public affairs as well, and also a degree in hard knocks, which has been very useful as well. So I don't want people to, put your pride aside, because I was prideful too when I could have received more help had I not been so prideful. So don't be prideful. Everybody needs help every once in a while, and it's okay. So we really encourage people to reach out that need it. Are there any questions?
Can you repeat your website again?
Sure, and I'm going to give you that information.
Okay.
It's gasmithys.com.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
Thank you.
as she's passing those out, just because I know council doesn't have access to the Facebook page or to the website, so could we ask administration to post the information about this, please?
Thank you.
Thank you. I saw a head nod from Mr. Ron,
was
so I take
thinking
that
the
as an
same
okay.
thing. And can post that on our website.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Ms. Smith. Have a good night. Okay. Great. Well, we will move on to committee reports. We'll start with City, Community Development, and Recreation. I believe that is Ms. Anderson.
Yes, thank you. We have not had a meeting since we have last met as a full council. Our next meeting is next week, Monday, October 11th, 2021 at 6:30 p.m.
All right. Well, that'll bring up me for Budget and Finance. We did not have a meeting. Our meeting will be next week at 7:30 after Ms. Anderson's. And then, Ron, are we gonna? I know we've been kind of in between finance directors, but I know we have some things to do. So are you going to send me a honey-do list so we can start working on it next time?
We'll have to, yeah. I'm going to be out for a few days, but we can probably discuss it this weekend.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
apologize. I'll be out for a few days, but we can discuss it this weekend, though.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, just email me, whatever is up. I thought with the tax budget, right? I know that's heading up, and I think employee stuff is in progress. So just send me a to-do list, and we got to start getting on some things. Appreciate it. Okay. Next up is Rules and Public Policy. And that will be Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. We met on Monday, September 27th at 6:30 p.m. We talked about the vice chair position, and I did receive a volunteer for the vice chair position, so later on in this meeting, we'll address that. We talked about legislative procedure, talked about the council rules and specifically records retention and what we need to do to kind of make sure that all of our meeting minutes and our meeting agendas are being kept in a way and in a place that people can access them easily. So we did get some concrete suggestions for record retention. But one of our action items was to determine or figure out a naming convention that's uniform across all of the committees. And Ms. Anderson actually sent an email requesting access to the website so that the committee chairs and vice chairs could store documents on the website. And our meeting was adjourned at 7:23 p.m. Our next meeting is the fourth Monday in October at 6:30.
That's the 25th.
Okay. Is that it for rules?
That's it.
Okay. Next up is public safety, and that'll also be brought to you by Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our meeting was on Monday, September 27th at 7:30 p.m. Also, I needed a new vice chair and received a volunteer for that position, so I'll address that later in this meeting. What we primarily talked about was the police report. I did receive a report from the North College Hill Police Department, and it had just, multiple pages of information. And we were just kind of talking about things that might be helpful for us to kind of figure out how to address budget issues and that kind of thing, since the police department for us consumes over half of our budget. So that is why we were reviewing that report. And we actually spent the entire meeting talking about that report. And we are going to go through it, and everyone is going to send some suggestions as to how we can kind of narrow it down and what information would provide the most assistance for us, and how determining how we can best assist our police department in keeping our community safe. Our next meeting will be October 25th at 7:30 p.m.
Great. Thank you. We will move on to ad hoc committee reports. Does anybody have one? What, you want to do UPC?
I can do it at my time.
You want to just do it at your time? That's great. Okay. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? She's gone. All right. So then we will move to the administrative reports. We will start with Mayor Tracy Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to start with the UPC. We did have a meeting last Tuesday, and the purpose of that meeting, it was just like a recap of what was going on and what was coming up. So we talked about, one thing that we did talk about, the county commissioner, Alicia Reese, was having, hosting a small business thing last Tuesday, so that date is passed. That was just something that we talked about as well. It was at the Urban League. We discussed the possibility of hiring some landscapers to do the islands on Galbraith and on Hamilton Avenue, to clean those up so we can get rid of most of those weeds and everything in there. We talked a little bit about how excited we were about the comprehensive plan being passed, and just making sure that, when we do our budget, making sure that we put money in there for that. We talked about the cleanup day. And there were some questions asked about the Flock, which is the place that used to be Game On. Like, what was in there? What are they doing there now? And I do believe it's the same. They have soccer. I'm not sure of volleyball, but basketball. And I know there's a weightlifting center in there. And that's pretty much all we talked about at that meeting. Some of the other things I had, we are still in the process. Mr. Mosby did put out again for our finance director. We just want to make sure we have the best candidate for that position. We're hoping we can get some more interviews going possibly next week so we can get that filled. I had the opportunity to attend the open house at the Clover Nook Center for the Blind. It was really nice. You hear the different things that they do in there, but it was amazing how they do the art. One of the gentlemen actually spelled my name in Braille and wrote it out for me, so I have that keepsake. So not sure when they're going to open back up completely, but it was really nice to go around there and just to meet some of the people that work there and that spend their lives there. We have the Touch a Truck that was yesterday, and it was really, really nice. to see all of our servicemen, our firefighters, police officers. We even had Hamilton County SWAT there. It was really nice. The kids were excited, just making up stuff in the police car, screaming through their, I don't know what they call it. This week, Friday, remember we passed the legislation, we're gonna have our first food truck Friday. We had some issues with the time. I will let Mr. Mosby, do you remember if we got that? At first it was during the day, but we wanted it at night, like 4 to 7. So hopefully we can still have it 4 to 7. And this is something that we want to do monthly on the first Friday of every month. And it'll be right out here in our parking lot. And the last thing I have, we had the 513 relief bus who was here last Tuesday. And that was a great turnout as well. They will actually be in our neighborhood again tomorrow. They will be at the high school, well, the middle school, 1624 West Galbraith Road. I believe they may be in front of the football field. I'm not sure. But they're scheduled to be there from 10 to 2. That's a great opportunity if you know anyone who is in need of assistance, especially through COVID. And I know that's how they're basing how they pay out things. If you need rental assistance with your utilities, that's a great opportunity and a great time. And I do one last thing. I want to, she's not here, but thank Mimi Anderson for doing the putting together the Touch a Truck and getting the 513 release bus here last week. And that's all I have.
Okay. Well, please let me know what ends up happening with the food truck time, because I'm actually got work happening in my house Friday, so I'll be working from home and be able to go up if it's during the day, and if it's at evening, then I want to get some dinner for the family there. And I really hope tacos are going to be there. I just don't think Ms. Underwood's heart could bear it if there's not going to be any tacos. But
I tried to chase down a taco truck in Norwood yesterday, but I couldn't catch him.
oh, that's a no. That's a hard no. Oh no. I just heard her heart break. I just heard it like a snap. Okay, well, we'll move on. Does anybody have any questions for Mayor Nichols before I move on to Mr. Mosby? All right, Mr. Mosby, you're up. This is our city administrator.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. So I'll just fill in a couple of gaps. As the mayor said that the food truck Friday will be from 4 to 7. We are working hard to get a few more food trucks confirmed. I know that I just got a call for a couple of additional ones today, but I know we do have a waffle food truck confirmed, so that ought to be a pretty nice one. There were some that we had confirmed for the 11 to 3 time slot, but when it changed from 4 to 7, they weren't able to do that. So we are going to continue to work on that. This was a very busy weekend. It began Friday night. Of course, we had homecoming parade. I would like to thank our police department and our public works department because they actually did a very fine job in keeping order throughout the entire parade route, which was basically the block around the school campus. So they came out of Trojan Way, turned right on Galbraith, they turned right again on Leboito, walked all the way down Bising, and then walked from Hamilton to Bising to Hamilton, Hamilton to Galbraith, and then came back. But they did a very nice job of controlling traffic. I was, in fact, very moved because I actually heard one of our longtime residents, who is Linda Braunward, who is also helps to run the Historical Society, but she said that this is one of the largest homecoming parades she had seen in recent years. So that was a very good sign. I take that as a good sign because, in addition, as you all know, we received the certification of our population just recently, which showed that we have an increase in our population of about 3%. And so that is a very good sign for us as well. In addition, on Saturday, we had the community cleanup. And I would like to definitely thank everyone who came out, but I would in particular like to thank the fire department because they came out and really did a wonderful job in cleaning up and helping to pick up some of the trash around the city. you know, I've made it I know I've said to the mayor and to some others, I've heard very nice comments about the work that was done on Galbraith and Goodman, and I certainly would like to see those streets maintained. But I know that even though we put people out on it, the bottom line is we also need the residents to be diligent too, as far as picking up trash. Also, though, I will say that in addition to that, yesterday I saw a very, very good sign. I know that Frickers had gone out and they had painted the outside of their building. So I did want to mention that as well. And then, of course, as the mayor said on Sunday, we had the Touch a Truck event where we had, it looked like really over 100 people. I mean, the DAV brought hot dogs and hamburgers for at least 100, and they were pretty much gone by the time they got finished. The police were out there. They gave away cotton candy and popcorn. The kids loved banging on the horns of the of the equipment. But it was a very good time that was had by everyone, and so it was a very, very, very good weekend. And I do want to echo what the mayor said about what Mimi Anderson did to put that together, but also, once again, every department that came out and participated, police, fire, as well as public works. Mr. President, you also mentioned finances, so we do, just as a little bit of an update, so we've contracted the services of two people, one accountant who is actually performing or working on the 2019 and 2020 audits, and I've been in touch with her, and there are some work that is going to have to be done to dig a little bit deeper in the past, so I did want to let everybody know that that is being worked on. I've been in touch with the Ohio Auditor State Department, and so we've been in close communication. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we'll definitely get that resolved. And then we do have a person who has come in, as the mayor was saying, at least until we do pick someone permanently. She's going to come in to help with the reports that you were alluding to. So she'll be doing the bank reconciliations and updates and things like that. And I'll also be working with her to put together the preliminary expense budget as well. Mr. President, that is, at least for now, that's about all I have.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Mosby. Does anybody have any quick comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay, Ms. Blythe. Go ahead.
Mr. Mosby, I wanted to check with you, what's the status on repairing the air conditioning? And then my other question is, I think our furnace is fairly new, correct?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was a water heater I saw.
We did have a
New
water heater replaced,
yeah.
yes.
So I just want to check on what's going on with the air conditioning.
Well, the compressor, as you all know, it died, and so we have we've talked to HVAC company. It's a pretty big compressor, bigger than what I actually thought. So he's going to get a quote back to us, so that because right now, although he told us what is needed, we don't have the cost yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great.
Mr. President.
Ms. Anderson.
I was just looking on the website at the calendar. Would you guys just mind adding those events that you guys were talking about that are coming up, the food truck, and then I know the 513 relief bus is tomorrow, so that's a little short notice, but definitely the food truck Friday stuff, if that could just be added to the calendar, because I know a lot of people look on the website for that. I think that might be useful. But I know you guys got a lot on your hands, so just if you think about it. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Is that Ms. Zorb?
It was.
Okay. Yep.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Just take this down for a second. Mr. Mosby, I'm curious if you could elaborate a little more and give us a little more detail on the accountant and then the other person who's helping with the bank reports.
What would you like to know?
Like how many hours a week are they working? Are they part-time? Are they from a temp company? Can you elaborate on what those bank reports and statements are that they're working on?
They're working on the regular monthly bank reports reconciliation, as well as the statement. The person who is helping out is a person who has had over 30 years of experience in municipal accounting. So it's somebody who's knowledgeable in what they're doing. The person is not at this particular point working, as you mentioned, full-time 40 hours, but they are working part-time at this particular point. So,
Are they through a temp company or?
no, we're contracting out with someone.
Cool. All right. Is that it, Ms. Orb?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? No? Okay. Mr. Mosby, real quick. So you said it is 4 to 7 Friday then? That's like the
Correct.
confirmed time?
Yes.
It's just the confusion is trying to get a couple more trucks besides waffles. Because I don't know.
I wouldn't say that.
I don't know if I want
I
waffles
wouldn't
for
call it
dinner.
confusion, Mr. President. I mean,
gonna be chicken with the
we know
waffles?
that it's. Pardon me.
Will there be chicken with the waffles?
Well, that part I actually don't know. I know that he does have some meat. I don't remember exactly what it is right now,
Okay.
but he was very excited about coming. So I do know that one. There's a couple that I have talked to today, but although I wasn't given a positive, a confirmation, it looks like it's pretty close. So we are trying to work on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I mean, it'll build, right?
I do agree.
Yeah. I mean, the
Yes.
first one might not be as good as they'll get. So, thanks for doing that. I'm excited about it as a future thing around here. So, I guess that's the one thing we did discuss, the UPC. I guess it didn't come up. We do have plans to have a food truck festival at some point in time next year. You know, when the weather breaks.
Oh, yeah.
Go all
Mr.
in on the food truck.
I'm sorry, there is one more thing, and I am deeply sorry not to
okay.
prolong the meeting, but I do think it's important. So, some people may have noticed that the playground equipment had been removed from Marshall Peter Dumley Memorial Park, which is a park that's located on Simpson and Goodman. So that is part of the stage. They were removing the old equipment, and they should be starting to install the new equipment within the next couple of weeks.
Oh, great. Nice. Good.
Mr. President,
Nice to see that. Yes.
I just had a question for Ms. Anderson. Ms. Anderson, were you referring to just the 513 relief bus not being on the website?
I just meant the Food Truck Fridays too.
The Food Truck Friday, okay.
Yeah,
right.
and then
All right.
I think those are the only events you guys listed, right? Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
mention
trunk or treat,
today.
but that's
I didn't
October
Right.
the 30th.
Yeah, and I haven't even looked if the trunk or treat was on there. I was just looking because I was already on the website for something else, so I was just seeing
That
if
is on there.
that is.
The trunk or
Oh,
treat is,
awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Is that it from the admin?
Yes.
Because I don't see the law director here. We don't have a finance director. So then I'm going to move on to call the members.
Mr. President, we have Kathy Fisher, who would like to speak to council. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so anxious to hear from these folks. All right.
Yeah.
You
That's
may
okay.
continue.
All right. So I can't remember. Do I call this out or do you?
You know what? Usually Mike, Mr. Graver, calls it out.
Okay.
So if you'd like, you can. If not, I'll do it.
Okay. I will do it, I guess. I don't want to break the mojo. So Ms. Dukestein.
I'd just like to say I'm excited about all the great things that have gone on in our city over the last couple of weeks and the coming weeks, and especially the food truck. Yay. I hope we get more than waffles.
Ms. Blythe.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about the playground equipment moving forward, and I can't wait until hopefully next June or July when we get our splash pad for the kids. I can't wait to see that. It's so positive. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yep.
I am very excited about Food Truck Friday, and I'm holding out hope that there's going to be a taco truck up there. Tacos are life. I'm just saying, everybody loves tacos. And I also wanted to send a shout out to the North College Hill High School cheerleaders. The homecoming parade went past my law office, so I actually got to go outside and enjoy as the parade was going by, and the cheerleaders actually stopped and did a cheer in front of my office. So I wanted to acknowledge that and tell them how much I enjoyed that, and that made an older lady very happy to to see the cheers. So, you know, congratulations. They did a fantastic job. The entire parade was really, really nice. It was really great to see. And I would like to say thank you so much to our law enforcement officers for maintaining order in the traffic to make sure that our kids were safe as they were walking through the homecoming parade as well. That's all I have.
Okay. That comes to me, Mr. Miller Novak. So obviously I'm excited about the food trucks as well. So I actually did try a place that's called A Taste of Mexico, which was in the Loveland Bike Trail a few weeks ago, and the tacos were very good, Ms. Underwood. You'd be excited. So, I mean, I don't know if you've reached out to them, but I know they're up there, and it was really good. So I could recommend that food truck. But, you know, regardless, I'm just excited to see it happen. It's just something, you know, I think sometimes small steps can be some great, you know. Sometimes it's good to have big goals. But I know with the UPC, part of what we always talk about were those minor goals, those small things. And sometimes you can get more progress by achieving 15 small things than shooting for one large thing you can't quite get to. So while food trucks doesn't maybe blow minds in some communities that already have them, for us it is a small step to expanding some culture and some food in North College Hill, and just to having something else, another thing for our residents to enjoy within the four corners of our city. And one more thing, because, you know, technically it hasn't really been announced, but speaking of new businesses, I mean, Ms. Underwood is officially moving her practice in to North College Hill on Galbraith Road. So I'd like to welcome our new business owner to North College Hill, which is Erica Underwood. I think she does a lot of family law, and you do some criminal law. She was a public defender. So not that anybody should seek to need her, but if you find yourself in a jam, we will have a very competent attorney in North College Hill right on Galbraith Road. And I'm going to pat myself on the back because I did some introducing there, so that was my economic development work for North College Hill. And Pat Boss, if no one here knows her, who she's moving in with, is also, I mean, really one of our most active, awesome business members. She cleans the city. She serves on any committee I've ever asked her to serve. So I'm sure Erica is going to be there for a long time and pick up with Pat's great excitement for North College Hill. So, you know, I think it's nice that she's here on council, but it's great to welcome her as a business owner in North College Hill as well. So thanks for setting up shop here. That's it for me. So I will pass it on to Ms. Zorb.
I have a couple things. Mr. Mosby, I believe you told us that the Shaper Park sign had been defaced, and that, I can't remember who, but someone put up a new sign.
I didn't say anyone
No?
put up a new sign. I said that the chamber was willing to sponsor a sign, so they're working with our public works director to find out or create a more durable sign, something that's going to be more durable, that will not be torn, hopefully will not be torn down as easily. I think the sad part about this, though, is, I mean, I have to be honest, there is a memorial stone that is actually out in front. It's pretty large, and it had a marker. It was a small round marker that was in there. Somebody took it out. I don't know why someone would take out. I mean, and to take it out required a lot of force. So, so part of the challenge is, and I know that Mrs. Shaper has contacted me a couple of times, and you know, again, it is something that we're working on that will probably require something that's going to be much more heavy duty. But, you know, Mr. Milanovec, you did once again, you acknowledged Pat and the chamber, and I think that we owe them a big thank you because they said that they would step up to help to sponsor that.
So the reason I brought it up is because there is what I would call a temporary sign that is hanging there now, and it doesn't have all of the information on it. It's like a snippet, and I just wanted to make sure that we're going to do justice to Mr. Shaper and put back the full content that was originally on the sign. That's all. And then my next question is, and I know my fellow council members are going to cringe when I mention this, but the street sweeper. So I know we bought the street sweeper. I have yet to see it be used, at least in my part of North College Hill. So I'm wondering if we could possibly have a schedule created for when the street sweeper could be used. At a minimum, I would think the roads Hamilton could be done. I would like to see it done at least once a month. I will say 80% of Galbraith has no parking on it, so that could be done once a month. But at a minimum, I'd like to see a schedule. If that could be created and presented to council, I would appreciate it. That's all I have.
Okay. Ms. Anderson?
All right, that's me. I just want to say I also went to the Discover Clover Nook event that Mayor Nichols brought up, and I just thought that it was absolutely amazing. I was truly stunned by it, and I'm very impressed with the work that Clover Nook does. I know that they were really thankful that people from the city came and appreciated their work as well. So I hope that there are more events like that in the future there, or more events there in the future at all, because I think that that could really be a beneficial relationship for the city to have. Also, I was able to make it to the Touch a Truck event. I willingly went, even though it may have seemed like I was dragged by my mother to work. I promise I was willingly there. But it was amazing, and I'm so glad that so many, I mean, I'm a teacher, I have to say this. So many kids had so much fun, and I was so glad to see lots of people from in North College Hill come, and people from outside of North College Hill were there. I talked to a lot of families that were from College Hill and Northside and Mount Healthy and Finneytown and Coleraine, and also a ton of families who were from North College Hill that came. And I thought that that was really great. I feel like North College Hill gets bad rep sometimes, so I'm glad that people from outside of NCH got to see that we have some pretty cool stuff here and we have some pretty cool people here. So, and on the topic of the of fire trucks, I just wanted to say a article that was released from WLWT today talking about the fire and police shortages across the state right now, especially across our city. Just kind of talking about how few firefighters there are that are willing to work full-time right now, or that are even able to work full-time right now. So I just thought that that was really interesting and kind of put our upcoming levy into perspective. So if people would like to look at that article, the North College Hill Fire Department also posted that on Facebook. And I had one other thing and I totally forget. But that's okay. All right, that's all then. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll remember.
Mr. President,
Yes.
would you grant me leave for just a moment? Miss Anderson just reminded me of something.
He asked for leave. That was a pretty
Bye,
long
Lee.
way to do that, wasn't
Bye,
it?
Lee.
All right. Yep.
I say
leave
bye,
is
Lee.
granted.
All right. So I'm glad that Ms. Anderson brought that up, because although I mentioned this organization, I did not do it justice. But I really need to thank the Disabled American Vets. They came out. They cooked hamburgers and hot dogs on a totally a voluntary basis. And our DAV does a lot for our community. And they were out yesterday in full force for the Touch a Truck event. And I really do want to thank them for what they do and what they bring to this community. So thank you, sir.
Great. That concludes call of members. So we're going to move on to remarks for the audience, but before we do, 'cause we'll see more people out there. Believe it or not, folks, this is packed. So just some things about public participation, just so you understand what it's about. So, we really technically in our council rules have a total of a half hour. 3 minutes a person. So I'm not going to necessarily hold you that. Can everybody raise their hand who intends to speak during public participation? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just not necessarily. Okay. So I got about 4 or 5 definite. So, okay. So, probably somewhere between 3 to 5 minutes if you can. I just want to make sure that everybody has an adequate time to speak, and we're not here until midnight. And it looks like we have a couple people who actually signed up ahead of time.
Mr. President, those that haven't signed in need to sign in if they want to speak.
Okay. Well, if you want to go ahead and sign in now, you can do that. And I saw this gentleman who just kind of...
The website says that?
Yes. It says that if you want to speak on the council, you get to sign up by 7:30.
Yeah.
We got here at 10 after 7 and the meeting was well underway.
Well, we don't usually stop anybody from talking anyways, even if they don't sign in, so don't worry about it. I'm just trying to figure out how many people want to go so I can make sure everybody has an opportunity and the same amount of time to speak. Okay.
5 minutes, but I never heard about a 7:30 thing.
Ma'am, so if you don't mind, some of the distractions, some folks might be still signing up while you speak, but I thought you already signed in to speak, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You can speak, do you have to go up to a lectern just so, because there's a microphone, as long as you're able to,
Name
and,
and address.
what's that?
State or name and address.
Yeah. You can do that. You can state your name and address into the microphone. We'll give you a few minutes here. Thank you.
Okay, my name is Kathy Fisher, and my address is 2225 Rolling Ridge Lane, 45238. I tried to get a house in North College Hill, but there weren't any when I needed to move. So,
Wow.
and I'm a realtor, so I have access to the MLS on my computer. But anyway, so I'm a housing provider in North College Hill. My husband and I have 3 houses currently. We're thinking about, we have a 4th one we're renovating. We're thinking about making it another rental. But what I wanted to say, I'm also, besides a real estate agent, I'm a member of the Real Estate Investors Association. And I contacted most of you and talked to most of you. We're having a Meet the Candidate event. It's online. It's for our members. And what I want to do, just because I've had a lot of projects going, I haven't shown my face. I want you to see who I am. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
And consider me a resource. I'm going to give you my phone number right now, and you can text me, and just we can have a phone call, we can go grab coffee, whatever. If you have any questions, or if there is any way that I can help, even talking to other housing providers in the community. I talked with Ron for a while, I guess it was last week, and so one of his things was our rental residents, we want to get them more engaged in the community. So there may be a way that me as well, or I as well as other real estate investors in the area can help with that. I don't know what that way would be yet. I need to talk to somebody who knows better than I do. So, but I'm willing to listen, whatever problems you all are having, or, anyway, I'm willing to listen. I want to make it better. So, my phone number is 513. Oh, no? Don't do that?
You can,
Okay, you can see me after the meeting, and I will be happy to share my phone number. Okay.
Ms. Fisher,
Yes.
if you'd like, you can write it on the back of here.
Okay, thank you.
Ms.
Mr.
Underwood, do
I
you
have a question for Ms.
Ma'am?
Fisher.
Sorry,
Okay,
just one question for you.
I did receive your email about the candidate forum. There's actually another candidate forum on the exact same day.
Okay,
And so I did forward your information to Patricia Boss.
okay.
Hers is, I think that one is in the evening, so I'm hoping that you can, or if you're willing to maybe get together to combine your efforts in some kind of way. Just because I just want you to know that I would love to participate, however, you know, that the job that actually allows me to turn the lights on at home. I just don't know what my day looks like on a
Okay.
daily basis. Sometimes it gets away from me.
Okay,
And so I will do, make every effort to attend, but I did want to let you know that there was another candidate forum, and I believe in person, that's the exact same day. So maybe the members of your organization could go to the other one if they didn't feel as though they got good participation at the one at noon.
okay, thank you.
Good to know. All right, thank you.
And you sent me an email, or you're,
I actually forwarded your email to Patricia Boss.
excellent. Thank you.
Great.
Anyone else?
No, I think we're good. All right. Anybody else signed in?
Oh, I just turned it over.
Oh,
One moment.
okay. Yeah. Nothing wrong with a little suspense.
I call up the next person.
Go signed in order. That way,
Thank you.
keep it consistent. Okay, who's next?
The next on our list is, looks like Tonda, perhaps? I'm sorry? Oh, Fonda Edwards.
All right, Ms. Edwards. You just sneak up there to that lectern and state your name and address and.
Okay, like I say, I'm Fonda Edwards,
Okay.
and I'm at 6782 Richard Avenue, 45224. And I just had some questions about the parking in our area because, I've been North College Hill, seemed like forever. Always parked in front of my house, never had an issue until recently. People moved across the street from me, and I guess the mother bought her daughter a car for graduation or whatever, and I guess she really don't know how to drive because she keep backing out the driveway and dinging my car. And so, but one time she backed out and she didn't just ding it, she banged out the door on my driver's side and the hood. So this time I called the police because, so the police came, and when they went to question her, after the little girl cursed so badly at the police, he came back across the street and told me that I was in violation of the parking code and that I was blocking the driveway because I was like shadowing the driveway. Same way I've parked there all forever since I've been there. And I've always had an understanding with my neighbor. We said it's fine where we park at, long as we don't block each other's parking, to get in and out, which we never do. But then all of a sudden he tells me I can't park there because I'm in violation, and so I have to park somewhere else. Now, I have COPD, so the easier it is for me to get to the better my heart, and my breathing thanks me. But now that I can't park there, I can't violate that code, everybody else do. They park there, they block my driveway, they block my neighbor's driveway. I was calling, nothing was ever getting done. And so I felt like now that I'm bothering the police department because they don't come. But they made sure they came to see that I had moved my car when I called them for that accident. Because he told me I would get ticketed every time I parked there. And so I was just trying to understand, what is our parking? I mean,
Well, I mean, I can do the best I can. I mean, you're not allowed to park. I mean, it sounds like maybe there's an issue of cars parking in a place where there's a little bit of overhang past the driveway, where the driveway hits the street. I mean, you can't park there. I mean, that's like unlawful, but, I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, obviously, we're not there to see exactly where people are parked, but I mean, I know that that is obviously a parking rule. You can't park in your driveway in a manner that blocks the sidewalk too, is like another thing that technically you're not supposed to do. But if you have a disability that requires that, like a handicap spot, that can be done sometimes on public streets, but I don't really know the process. You can call the administration. And I think there is a process for, Ron, I'm looking at you.
Mr. President.
Is there a process for doing that, or do you know?
There is a process.
Yeah.
There are 3 handicap signs on my street. So, Ms. Edwards, what I would suggest is maybe if we could speak to Mr. Mosby about getting that sign installed right across the street from your house. And then that way, nobody can park there except for you or someone else who has that tag. And then I think that maybe would resolve at least some of the issues.
Because it is a little overhang over my driveway, but it still doesn't block. You could enter it, you can come out, because my neighbor, which is here today, also, we've already had the discussion, and we was like, we fine with the parking. You don't block me, I don't block you. And it's been working that way since I've been over 30 years now. But all of a sudden now, it's like, I'm gonna get ticketed if I do it. But everybody else can do it, and there's nothing to be done. The day before yesterday, there was a car parked in front of my house and halfway in front of my neighbor's driveway, and the police told him, "Oh, you can get around that, can't you?"
All right. Okay.
But that's all. I just,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention. And again, if you want to apply for like a handy spot, then you can talk to the administration maybe later on, or give them a call at the city office and apply for a place that might help your situation.
Thank you. I
You're
will.
welcome. Okay. Ms. DeWald, who signed in next? Well, she'll figure that out when she applies. Okay.
Next on our list is Mary Carol Meinking.
Mary Carol.
Meinken.
Okay. You can pull that down, Jerry.
And I'll be quick. I thought I had 2 minutes, so I wrote it out so I could get it all straight out there.
Okay. Well, I'm not running around out of timer. Just do your best.
Okay. My husband, I'm Mary Carol Meinken, and my husband, John, and I have lived in North College Hill most our whole lives. And we've been in our current house on Flora for over 20 years.
Laura, huh?
Our backyard connects with the property, the apartments on Visine Avenue. They come back to back there. And the back of our lot, as well as a lot of the other lots along there, is wooded, which is very nice. It provides a nice separation. Last summer, the apartments were putting in a new drainage ditch, and the work crew that was there were bulldozing down trees and things, and quite a few of these trees, about 6 of them, I guess, instead of them disposing of them properly, they put them over the fence into our yard. They damaged trees in our yard. They damaged our fence. I went to the police, who sent me to code enforcement, and they got in touch with the management, and, oh yes, we want to be good neighbors and everything, and so we'll take care of it. A month goes by, nothing happens. Well, we went through this dance probably 4 or 5 times, and it got to be winter and nothing was done, and come spring, my kids knew how upset I was, and they came over and cleaned it all up, spent a whole day out there. So I thought things were good. A couple weeks ago, I walk back there maybe once a month because I can't see it from my house, and there was a whole nother pile of debris there. It looked like bushes that had been trimmed and ornamental grasses and things. Some of it's on our side of the fence, and I... Thank you. Actually, here's damage to the fence, and this is some of the debris that's on their side. So again, I called code enforcement, went through this whole song and dance, but nothing's being done. John has not been able to walk for over 3 years, and so I am the main caretaker for the house and the yard. I'm 70 years old, and I'm doing my best, but if people keep dumping their trash in my yard, I'm never going to keep up. I know illegal dumping is against the law. I don't know what to do to enforce it, or there seems to be no repercussions if they don't take care of things. If they have hired someone to do work for their property, I think they are responsible whether these people can come and clean it up or not. So I'm asking for help at this point. What do I do to keep people from dumping stuff in my yard?
Well, all I can tell you is that we can, Ron can draw it to the attention of our code enforcement officer, and they can maybe issue a citation. But generally speaking, I'm sorry that, sometimes trespass from neighbors to neighbors requires a civil action, like an actual lawsuit where one neighbor sues another neighbor. There's only so much the government can do when the issue is a neighbor, whether it's like loud music or, sometimes when people have work done on their property and it makes water go a different path and then it floods your driveway or your flowers or something like that. That happens a lot in neighborhoods. And something like this where they're just like dumping things in your property. You might want to call like an attorney and see if there's some kind of civil action for trespass, private nuisance, or just a couple things that you can do. But there's only so much a government can do for stuff like that. We can issue citations, potentially send code enforcement officer over there and things like that. But sometimes ultimately the fix unfortunately requires a civil action and a civil attorney.
But see, that's all things that I have to pay for, and I don't think I should end up out money and in the hole because someone else is breaking the law. The law is the law, and there should be some way to enforce it without people having to go into debt to do that.
Yeah. Well, sometimes your attorney's fees can be recoverable. I mean, I would have you call an attorney and see if someone can take the case. And, but, I would think maybe write a letter to the apartment complex owners threatening litigation and things like that without even hiring an attorney. But, some things, unfortunately, we can only do so much when neighbors have disputes, and we can certainly bring it to the attention to the police. You can call the police and say that they're dumping in your yard. You can call code enforcement and see if there's a crime or some citation that's been issued. But if there's not some crime that can be filed, then ultimately, and unfortunately,
So it's not a crime to dump things on someone else's
I
property?
would call the police. I don't, I'm not a criminal attorney. I can't answer that question. I think you'd need to call the police and report it to the cops and see if there is a crime. So,
All right, thank you very much.
you're welcome. Okay, who's next on the list?
Next on the list, it looks like we have Mr. Pearl.
Mr. Pearl,
6788 Richard.
that's you? Okay.
I live on Richard. My name is Mike Leopold. I'm her neighbor.
I'm sorry. What is your name, please?
Mike Leopold. I'm her
Okay.
neighbor.
Okay.
We've had fights on that street in the last week, 15, 20 girls fighting. We have people parking over driveways, blocking the driveways.
I'm sorry, sir, I don't want to interrupt, but what street are you talking about again?
Richard
Richard.
Avenue.
Richard,
Where
okay,
all the
thank you.
trouble is all the time.
And could you please speak into the mic, please? That
It's
was,
about the third fight that I know that's been on Richard Avenue in the last
sir,
3 years.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
I said we've had fights on Richard Avenue for the last 3 years on their gang fights. We have people parking over the driveways all the time.
I know.
We call the police, they tell us, well, you can get by. No, we can't get by. And if somebody has an emergency, if they got some sick person or something, they can't even get out of their damn driveway. Now, something's got to be done.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr.
Next on-
President?
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Mr. President?
Ms. Orb, sure.
I'm wondering if Mr. Mosby could talk to the police chief and have them patrol a little more on Richard
I will certainly bring
and
this
look
to
for
the
parking
attention.
violations and the such.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr.
I mean,
President.
I gotta ask a question if you don't mind. Is it, I mean, is there some like house that has a lot of people over or something like that? I mean,
Probably got
seems,
5, 6 rental properties, got 2 and 3 families living in them.
okay. It's just a lot of people just own enough cars that they have to use the roads in addition to their driveway. They're just not using the driveways at all.
They just think they can
Okay.
park over anybody's driveway and they don't worry about it.
Okay.
But then you got all the fights going on too, because it's a dead-end street.
Yeah, well, that's not good. Regardless of what street it's on.
Got a teenager and she have her bunch of friends over, and they are.
Uh,
He's coming
Well, we can, obviously, Mr. Mosby, the administrator, will bring the issues you brought forth to council today up to the police chief and let him know that there's some concerned citizens, so.
Mr. President.
Obviously, fights, we can punish people when they fight, but,
They didn't
Yeah.
arrest anybody. They were kicking the crap out of these girls, and they didn't arrest one
We
person.
have videos, they had talking to all of the group of girls.
It was 15, 20 kids fighting, people losing tops, and then the police come and they downplay the entire thing. So when I continuously hear you say, with all due respect, we'll call the police, I feel like what's not really, you guys aren't hearing is we're doing that, and they're not doing anything. And so
Exactly.
if there's not another step besides that, that's not workable for our street anymore. Like, it's ridiculous.
When they were doing their quote-unquote investigations up for the fights, and then one of the main ones that keep the confusion going, she had came after the fight while the police were investigating, and she just walked right into that. I said, why would you let her just walk right up into the middle of all the confusion? He said, oh, it's a free world. You can walk where you want to walk. But she shouldn't be able to walk into an investigation. Just like walk right in the middle of an investigation.
the date,
That shouldn't be okay.
the date that happened? Can you provide she is asking the date that happened, so,
Mr. President.
you don't remember?
I don't remember the date, but my neighbor has a video of it.
Okay.
supposed to be here, and he
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we're all picking up what you're putting down, because obviously there's a lot of people here for this, and, you have taken the next step. You brought it to our attention, and, our city administrator, that's a guy who runs the day-to-day business over there with the brand-new haircut, has heard everything you said, and he's gonna talk to the police chief, so, hopefully that'll address the issue, Is it gonna be an overnight thing like that? Probably not, but hopefully after he talks to the police chief, when you call, maybe there'll be a little bit more action taken or something like that, okay? And if there's not, you can come back up here and you can bother us another day. That's fine. You can tell us what's going on if it's not happening. Or if it is, you know, and you don't want to come back and tell us it's happening, that's fine too. But I hope that you get some resolution. So we've heard everything you've had to say, and thanks for doing that. It's nice, so we know what's going on in the city, because otherwise we might not. And Ron will address that with the police chief, I'm sure, sometime tomorrow. Okay?
The day you were asking about, the last one was Monday, September 20th.
Okay.
I called the police. I was never asked any questions about what happened. I watched an entire brawl with like 15 different girls and people pulling out socks with rocks, and it can escalate to someone getting really hurt very, very quickly. And there's a pervasive sense of indifference that I feel from police officers. I've lived on my street for over 10 years. It's gotten worse within the last several, but I very rarely bother to call because nothing happens. Like, it's just, who has the time to call and then have people do absolutely nothing? And yeah, I hope that's not what's happening here as well, because if it's like, we'll just keep calling and we'll follow up, well, that's what we hear from the police officers and that's what we hear from everybody else. Yet our street gets worse and worse, yet the amount it costs for me to live here goes up and up. So like, something isn't connecting here. And like, I really hope that you all are hearing us, because we didn't all come here for no reason. Like, it's like, it's a real problem. Someone's gonna end up getting seriously hurt. When there are 15 and 20 kids fighting and cars are pulling up and no adults are there, I'm the only adult there. They fought all the way down my street. They were up against my car, like on my property fighting. Like, it was out of control. So to have the police come and arrest no one and downplay it and say it was just a bunch of drama between girls, that's not what happened. Like,
Mr. President, if I could, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does this happen like right as school is released around? Okay.
This is all planned. These people are meeting on that street.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Like a scheduled event.
Miss-
Okay.
Mr. President, may I address you?
Yeah, Ms. Dukestein.
Didn't we talk, you live on Richards, and I was coming around getting signatures. Is it right across the street from that vacant house?
like one house that we have kind of, like one down.
Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure this is the
Somebody
right area
actually
so that I
lost
can.
the top in that vacant house. That's how out of control it got. Like, I'm not sure that's getting communicated, because I'm not sure that the police officers are really accurately taking the reports. But it's unacceptable, and none of us should have to live like that with 15, 20 people fighting outside of our house. It was 8:30 at night. They're arguing and fussing and fighting and yelling. And over the years, it's like, you call about noise complaints, they can't do anything. You call about people parking in front of your driveway, they can't do anything. Now we're to the point where kids are brawling 15, 20 feet, and you can't do anything about that either. What are you here for then? What is the purpose of the police? Maybe I'm confused.
Mr. President?
I'll follow up with the other information we talked about with Mr. Mosby.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
The kids that are fighting, are they 18 or under, or are they teenagers and adults, ma'am?
They are teenagers and young adults.
Teenagers and,
Like 18, 19.
do you see a pattern or a specific day of the week when they're getting together to fight?
No.
It's random? So it is not necessarily a Friday or a Saturday at 8:30. It can be a Monday or a Wednesday at 8:30. And then, are you saying that the abandoned house is attracting the young children?
No, that house.
I was just trying to place it.
That lady
She was just
died.
trying to place where I live at, where she's been.
Okay, so is anyone living in that house now? It's vacant?
No, it's in probate, I think.
Probate, okay,
Mr. President,
okay.
Ms. Zorb?
did I also gather that there's no one that lives on your street that's involved in this?
No, I said not all of them. There are some ones that live, the ringleaders do live on our street. But, they bring their
I gotcha. Thank you.
So they're teenagers and young adults.
Mr. President, I asked about the time because at the high school, there is a rule that we would either call the police, you can look at expulsion, suspension. If you do anything, break the law, fight from the time school is on the way to school and on the way home. So that's why I asked about the time. And if,
Some of them are out of high school.
right, so if you had those names and you called the high school, it would prompt or sometimes start an investigation. A lot of times they won't do stuff because it's, unless they bring it to school.
When the cops showed up, they came out, hands up, don't shoot.
They act like it's a game.
Yeah, they think it's a big
To
game.
them, it is a game, but it's at our lives at stake.
And your property, everything.
And they so disrespectful towards the police because they almost feel like they know ain't nothing gonna happen. When they hit my car and they cussed out the police so bad, and all of the evidence, we didn't even have to ask her, did she do it? Because her car was on my car. She had a little emerald that was on her car, that was embedded in my car. I mean, everything added up. But she cussed them out so bad, he came and allowed them to turn it around on me. Like I shouldn't have been part of it.
Ma'am, did you call your insurance company regarding the car accident?
I did have to pay a $500 deductible,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
which I shouldn't have had to.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for bringing it to our attention. Is anybody else signed up for public participation?
We have a Miss Sandy Ficker.
Okay.
Mr. President, I had one more comment also. Would it be helpful if the citizen here gives her name, address, and information to Mr. Mosby? That way, the houses that are, the neighbors, the neighbors that are being affected, if it's, well, I think you did on the paper.
We have
Okay,
it.
got
We
you.
have it.
That way, he can zoom in on the addresses and the police and what's been said tonight. Okay, thank you.
That's okay. You're welcome. All right, Ms. Ficker?
Hi, this is a follow-up on what happened and what is going on. I'm Sandy Ficker, 6790 Richard Avenue, 2 doors down from what happened. My experience with the police is, I don't know if they're told not to give citations or what, but it was almost like we have to encourage them to give citations. I had someone that was overparked on my driveway. I had photos. I called them. I said, no, I want that person cited. Well, eventually he did. And he explained, I says, well, how am I going to get rid of it? How am I going to get out of my drive? Because it was at least this far from my drive, or over my drive. And he says, well, if it's still there on Monday, we'll have it towed. And this is the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday. What if, like Mike says, what if we have to get out? I have this feeling that they don't want to give citations, or they're afraid, or I don't know. It's not, nothing is being enforced, or they don't know the rules. Because I know a couple years ago, I had an officer, I told the officer, I said, it's legal to be 12 inches past my apron. Oh, no, it's not. Sure enough, it is. But he didn't know this, and so I suffered, like everybody else does on our street. I even suggested on Richard to have lines painted. That was nixed. I think that would help alleviate, and also, I mean, if she can get a handicap sign, why can't we have lines painted? That would alleviate a lot of things. Or educate the police officers. I know they're new. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
No, you're
But
fine.
it's like we have to be more intelligent than they are. You know, it's frustrating. That's why oh, and then another comment was, oh, do you know who it is? And I said, no. Well, did you go up and down the neighborhood and knock on doors? I said, no, that's not my job. So we're just getting really discouraged. And then with a fight the other night, that just
Straw that broke the camel's back.
amplifies things.
Yeah.
So, I just thought I wasn't going to say anything, but,
Fine, you're fine.
It's okay.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
what the
you
lectern's
for
for.
letting us know.
Talking. So, well, thanks again for bringing it to our attention. I mean, we definitely appreciate the feedback. I mean, we need to know what's going on, and we need to know people's frustrations. So we do appreciate you coming in today. And if anybody wants to talk, you know, I mean, Ron might have to run. I mean, I can't say he's going to be here after the meeting. I know it's been said a couple times, but if you want to leave, I think your names and at least a few of your names and addresses are over there, and we certainly will bring it to the police chief's attention. I'm sure he might not know what you're going through as well. So hopefully something happens and I don't see you again. No offense, it's nice to see you, but I practice law like Erica does, and usually when my clients call me, it's never to say things are going right. So it's kind of like that in city council. We see people, it's usually because they're upset about something. So if I don't see you ever again, I'm going to take that as a good thing. All right? And I hope that's the case. All right?
Mr. President.
Yep.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm not gonna sit up here and make, a promise that I can't keep, but I will tell you this. I will nag and follow up, and I'm very good at that. So if writing a little ordinance and painting lines on the street will fix the problem, that's something that we can do. So we will do what we can do to help you. Now, with the fighting, that's, there's nothing we can address the police chief, but with regard to the parking, we will do everything that we can do to try to help. I'm sorry.
So, at the intersection there's a truck that always parks on the intersection. It makes it pretty dangerous when you're trying to, because you got a stop sign there, and people shoot through that stop sign all the time.
You're not supposed to park.
And I noticed on most of the, around here, they got a no park from here to the corner.
Right.
You put one of them on there too.
Okay.
That would help. It is.
I think it's 50 feet or something.
It's actually 50 feet.
It's 50
in some
feet.
places. Yeah, it's
From the stop
50.
sign.
Yeah, we have the same issue on my
Silver?
street.
We have that on Lois.
There's no ordinance for it.
Well, it's a state. So. It's state, so.
Certain place from the.
Yeah, stop sign.
Well, there could be an ordinance. That's one of the things that this body actually can do.
I think we
We
have a
can
stop
pass
sign on
legislation and appropriate money. We can't arrest people for fighting. Not Matt Miller Novak going to tackle anybody or put them in cuffs, but certainly we can pass legislation. So,
Right.
yeah. Okay. All right.
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
if I can finish it up, I am known for nagging the police recently, so I will make sure that I do that for this. But yeah, I'll also look at, I know that she had already left, but possibly a no dumping ordinance for our committee to discuss. And I know that safety committee's got a lot going on, and I know that this also has to do with development, so we will also look at some different ordinances about the
should
stop
have an
signs and making sure that they're enforcing that for the 50, because I know that it's 50. I'm the closest to who just took their driving test. I'm only 22. I know that it's 50 feet. But sorry, you had something else to say.
Well, to add to the ticket giving or citation or something, wouldn't that actually enforce saying, hey, this is the law,
Right.
people?
Yeah.
And if you don't give someone a citation.
You would think they would want to do their jobs.
Yeah.
But,
No, I mean, I'm not a person who wants to make people suffer.
right?
I just,
Yeah.
I
Well, a
agree.
parking citation's not going to end their career, so. I get your point. We certainly, a parking citation is not gonna, it's not that retribution-y, so don't worry about it. I don't think there's any reason to apologize, but, I think Ms. Anderson and Ms. Underwood said that they would nag, and I hate using the word nag. They're gonna investigate. And she's gonna nag. So they'll nag and they'll bother, and they mean it. They will do it. So,
Mr.
if
President.
it's okay, I do want to move on
You have one more person
to legislation. We have one more
Oh.
person. Ms. DeWald,
Oh,
you're that
okay.
person?
Good evening. I'd like to be a citizen for a few moments.
Okay,
I
we'll allow
live one street away from these good folks. I walk my dog on those streets. I know exactly what they're talking about. sometimes you can't even cross from one side to the other because you can't see. And now on my street, there's no parking because we have a household that has one driver and 5 or 6 cars. And he doesn't like to use his driveway because he doesn't know how to back up. So you've got you got a driveway with 2 cars in it that can easily get 2 more in it, but they're parked on the street and they're parked there for weeks and months. But I do want to say that I have contacted code enforcement. I've talked to police, and I get kind of the same results. It's like it's like living the same day over and over and over again. And on Telford, there are the same issues. So you've got from Richard all the way down Telford past Jamar, and it's just car after car after car, so that the folks that live on Telford, which they're not here to represent themselves, when they pull out of their driveways, it's blind. They have to hope that no car is coming down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So parking is an absolute issue. I would like to say I would hope that painted lines would be an answer. But if we can't get folks to not block our driveways, how are we going to get them to?
Yeah.
Honor the painted
So
line.
I just wanted to say my piece because I feel your pain. I live it every day. So
Mr.
thank you.
President.
Thank you.
What I will say is that to Ms. DeWald, one of the few things that we can do is write ordinances.
Yes, ma'am.
So, and painting lines on the street shouldn't cost us that much money. So we can
Exactly.
paint the lines on the street, and we can write an ordinance that says you block somebody's driveway, maybe the ticket is $500 instead of $100. That we can do that. So there are things we can do to address that. We can't address the fights. We can address the other, and we will address the other. I can tell you that. So
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming and bringing it to our attention, because it does cause problems, and we want you to be here. We want this community to be safe for you, and we want you to have some enjoyment when you go home. You shouldn't have to deal with that, especially somebody dinging into your car all of the time. It will be addressed. It will be.
And just one, because like what someone was saying about the cleaning, street cleaning, the one person, they just moved up from in front of my house, was there for 2 days. When they left, they cleaned their daggone car out and threw it all in the house.
See, that's terrible.
Okay. Well, we do need to move on to legislation. So I do appreciate all the feedback.
Thank you.
We're going to move on. Thank you for coming. And this is, okay. We appreciate it, everyone. So that will conclude remarks from the audience. We'll now move on to our legislation.
We have a second reading on Resolution 26, 2021, a resolution to certify assessments to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate regarding tall grass and trash removal.
Okay. Any discussion on that?
We have a second reading on Resolution 27, 2021, accepting amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we suspend the third reading for Resolution 27-2021.
Okay, we have a motion to suspend the third reading on Resolution 27-2021. That is on the floor. Is there anybody who's going to second that motion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Anderson?
I'll second that.
We have a motion to suspend the third reading by Ms. Underwood, a second by Ms. Anderson. Any discussion? Okay. I guess we'll call the vote.
Ms. Dukes-Dean,
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller-Novak,
Yes?
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
and Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 6-0.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adopt Resolution 27-2021.
Okay, we have a motion to adopt. Anybody want a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Ms. Dukestein, seconds. Discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I guess it's more of an I don't know what this question falls under, but I noticed that there's a list of council members, and Ms. Hartman is listed, and she is no longer a council member. So do we just put a line next to her and says resigned, or do we have to strike her name out?
I think we just probably move the striker name, right? Sounds right to me. I mean, all that really matters to the charter is not the names that are listed in the ordinance as much as the fact that it passes by 4 votes, so.
Her name is listed on here, on the document.
Yeah, I mean, just move the strike it. If you want to take it off.
So make a motions to amend, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Motion to amend the resolution striking her name if someone wants to do it.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I'll move to amend Resolution 27-2021, specifically striking Ms. Hartman's name from the legislation.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
Okay, so I have one motion to amend by striking Elizabeth Hartman's name from Resolution 27-2021. I have a second from Ms. Dukestein. Any discussion on that? Cool. We can call the vote.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Miller-Novak?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
And Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion to amend striking Ms. Hartman passes 6-0.
Now we'll need to, Ms. Underwood, you'll probably want to bring, or anybody will want to bring a motion to adopt it as amended.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I withdraw my previous motion and move to adopt Resolution 27-2021 as amended.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt 27-2021 as amended by Ms. Underwood, seconded by Ms. Anderson. Any further discussion? Probably not. Okay, that's none, so call the vote, please.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Miller-Novak?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
And Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion to adopt as amended passes 6-0.
Great. All right.
We have a second reading on Resolution 28, 2021, making supplemental appropriations and transfers.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we suspend the third reading for Resolution 28-2021.
Okay, so we have one motion to suspend the third reading on Resolution 28, 2021. Does anybody second this?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
That was Ms. Blythe.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Blythe.
I don't have my paperwork right in front of me. Is there anyone that can explain 28-2021?
All that money.
Mr. President,
Mr.
it's a resolution accepting the recovery funds from the government.
So we're voting on accepting
Okay.
almost $500,000, right, that we got from the federal government as part of the Recovery Act.
Mr. President, I'll second the motion to suspend.
Okay, who was that?
Ms. Zorb.
Ms. Zorb. So I have a motion by Ms. Underwood, correct? And then I have a second by Ms. Zorb to suspend the third reading of Resolution 28, 2021. Any further discussion on it?
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
will this be on the Budget and Finance Committee agenda as far as like appropriations and that kind of thing?
Well, Are we gonna start working on it right away? Well, I'm getting the nod, so apparently we're gonna start figuring out what to do with it. Then the next finance committee meeting, that'll be on the agenda for this coming Monday.
Correct.
Cool. Yep.
It would be, to be clear, that discussion would be, because that money is being accepted this year, it would be part of this budget.
Yeah.
And then whatever would be remaining would then be considered for the 2022 budget.
Okay.
So,
Mr.
All right.
President, I just had one more question.
Sure.
Will we need to strike out Mrs. Hartman's name for number 26 and number 28 also?
We haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
I was gonna do that.
Mr. President,
Let's just get through the reading part first.
Okay.
So
In-
right
in
now,
ref-
we've got a motion to suspend by Ms. Underwood and a second. It's not on there. Okay. And then we have a second by Ms. Zorb. So no further discussion on suspending the readings? None? Okay, cool. Let's call the vote then.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
and Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to suspend passes 6-0.
All right, great.
Mr.
Okay.
President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adopt Resolution 28-2021.
Okay, we have a motion
Mr.
to
President?
adopt.
I'm sorry. I want to point out that we amended this last time, so she'd have to add as amended.
As amended.
As amended.
So we amended it from the floor last time. So Ms. Underwood has a motion to adopt Resolution 28-2021 as amended.
I'll second that motion, Mr. President.
I'm sorry, Ms. Zorb, you're the second? So we got a second from Ms. Zorb. Any further discussion? Anything? Ms. Blythe, you're okay now? You got what you need? All right.
Sir.
Everybody else is good? All right. Let's please call the vote.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Blythe,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood,
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak,
Yes.
Ms. Zorb,
Yes.
Ms. Anderson.
Yes.
Motion to adopt is amended, passes 6-0.
All right, awesome. Well, that concludes our legislation for this evening. It's time for further remarks to the audience as it pertains to legislation. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say about the legislation that was just passed? Everybody's like, maybe. Yeah,
Okay, so the tall grass thing and the moving of trash.
yeah,
And this poor woman who has trash dumped in her yard could end up getting fined.
yeah.
So about the trash and the lawn stuff. At what point does it go onto a person's tax bill?
They get notice, like, it's not a surprise.
Okay, and it's not immediate, like they can
No.
have a chance to settle up with you.
You get a notice on your door, you get so many days to remedy the situation. If you don't remedy the situation, if it's something like grass, then we have to pay someone to do the grass, and then you have an opportunity to pay that. If you don't pay that, it ends up on your property taxes.
You send a letter
So,
just because
it gets put on their door.
it has to go on their door.
Yes.
So like I will never see it.
I think it does get sent to rent, does it?
And the letters get sent to the property owners.
It gets sent to the property, okay.
And then they have 7
Yeah.
days to remediate the issue, depending on the severity of the issue. If it's grass, it's usually 7 days. Certain things are longer. For example, if somebody's house needs painting, they usually give them a longer period of time.
There's a process. It's one of those things that falls underneath the 14th Amendment, of the United States Constitution for due process. People do get notice and an opportunity to respond. This is for the people who got the notice and didn't bother to respond. So, most people they get the letter on their door and they fire up the lawnmower and take care of whacking the grass and the weeds and never gets to this point. These are the people that just don't bother to care for the most part, if that makes sense. And then what we do is every month there's usually a resolution to just basically submit those to the county for assessment on property taxes for those folks that didn't answer, if that makes sense. Okay.
That makes sense. I usually, if the grass gets high for too many times, I fire the rental resident from cutting the grass, and I raise the rent, and I cut the grass.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice if a lot of landlords did that, so you should send a how-to manual. Because, that would be helpful if other people had a system for addressing that with their tenants. So,
Mr. President,
yes?
I'd like to point out one more item. I know Miss Mary Carol Meineken has already left, but if she happens to watch this, I did sneak a little note to, and I don't know if it was caught, but to Miss Anderson. Whew.
It's been a long night.
Sorry. And we're going to talk about the whole dumping thing in committee, and we're going to make sure that there's legislation. If there's not legislation out there, we're going to create it, and we're going to make sure that no dumping is allowed. We're going to look at that. We're going to make it stricter, and just like it was said, we'll raise the fine if that's what we have to do. We're going to address that.
Okay. Great.
Mr. President.
Okay, that was Duke Steen this time. Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Mosby, is there something that is in violation of code with the dumping?
Yes.
Yeah.
There are, and we have a code that does say that, well, and certainly you can't dump on another person's property. That's not legal. It would be a violation.
Is this the first time you've seen this?
Is this the first time that I've seen it?
Seen that particular issue with that particular homeowner?
No. I've heard of that before.
Okay. Did you see the pictures? I'm
Yes.
sorry. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were equipping you with everything you needed.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
Ms. Dukestein, I think that in committee, we can talk about it and talk about how we can put some teeth into those ordinances, because maybe there's just not enough teeth to the ordinance. And, so maybe that's what we need to do.
Yeah. Mr. President, I felt like she left frustrated. She felt underserved.
I'm sure she was. I mean,
Disheartened.
unfortunately, sometimes the honest
Disheartened.
answer isn't people's favorite answer in the meantime, but when there are neighbor disputes, as Ms. Underwood would tell you, sometimes the civil option sometimes can be the only real option you have for certain trespasses to land, and people don't want to hear that, and our justice system isn't always fair.
Mr. President,
Sometimes it's the way it is, and, but yeah, I mean, she was probably noticeably a little bit upset. I think I'd be upset too. I don't blame her. Sometimes system's not always fair, and sometimes the Constitution can get away of a little bit of swift justice, so I'm sure she is a little bit frustrated.
I'm assuming this, but I'm assuming this, so I'm probably totally wrong, but I'm wondering if the apartment complex is hiring someone that's not an official tree person and for a lower price, and they're just cutting those trees and just dumping them on her property. Because I think a legitimate licensed tree service, I think under law, they should have to take those trees with them. I've had trees cut in my backyard before, and if they don't take them with them, they grind the stump of the tree. So it almost sounds like they're getting some laymen, I'm assuming, to cut the tree. They don't own a legit business, and they're just dumping it on her property. That was just kind of my feeling about that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of the gist, but it might not be true. Might be totally false. Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, tree services tend to make mulch out of them or something, so that is true. Let's move on to old business. Anybody have any old business? No? Ms. Dukestein?
Did we get any further with the mulching of the playgrounds?
We did discuss that actually at the UPC too, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. We're working on it. I think we're making progress in terms of, we got a quote, right, on getting mulch for all the playgrounds. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
But I
There were
think
two
the
quotes.
thing we were concerned about last time was appropriating a line for the money to come to being able to pay for it. That was the part I was trying to see.
Well, it's gonna have to end up in finance committee or something. I mean, there's gonna have to be some committee vote on it. Hopefully whatever committee it lands in, because they're not a humongous, like, bank breaking kind of amount of money or something like that. It'll just like send it right back up to us so we can address it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I know there was a quote. I think it was like 5,000 or something like that.
It
It
would
feels like in
probably
that
be more,
area,
right.
so it wasn't
That'd be closer to
exactly massive. And that was the quote we got was for like every park, to mulch every park. So it will just come down to maybe one of the committees. It could be community, it could be finance, it could be public safety.
It could be finance.
It could be finance. It's fine, whatever. Because I'm just gonna try to push it through. So, hopefully, and actually, well, that would make sense because finance is this coming Monday, right? So that's the first one. That's between this meeting and the next. So maybe it'll be on this agenda next time. Okay.
One last question in regard to that.
Okay.
Mr. Mosby, I just wanted to, I know Mr. Marty gave you the quote, and I was unclear if that was for cubic square feet or cubic yards, or was that just a regular yard? I just wanted to make sure because
his was cubic.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that because that makes a significant difference in the price and how it would fall out. So just confirming, that's all.
Okay. Cool. Is that it?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, new business.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move to appoint Marjorie Anderson as vice chair of the Public Safety Committee.
Okay. Well, she's not looking shocked or offended by that, so apparently she's okay with the nomination, I'm guessing. Picked up on verbal cues.
Mr. President, I'll second that motion.
We got a second from Ms. Zorb. So we have a motion by Ms. Underwood and a second by Ms. Zorb to appoint Ms. Anderson as vice chair of the Rules and Public Policy?
Public Safety.
Public Safety Committee. Any discussion? All right, usually we can't wait to vote to appoint someone to do some work, so.
Yes.
Call the roll. Sorry, I jumped the gun. I'm gonna get in trouble. Mr. Wald's job.
So I was writing.
Mhm.
So Ms. Underwood made the motion and Ms. Anderson second?
Ms. Zorb.
Ms. Zorb, sorry. Thank
Yep.
you.
Get out of here, I'm hot.
Ms. Jukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion to appoint Ms. Anderson as vice chair to public safety passes 6-0.
Mr. President,
Congratulations. All right. Ms. Underwood.
I move to appoint Ms. Zorb as vice chair of Rules and Public Policy Committee.
Oh, a motion looking for unsightly nonverbal communication that rejects the nomination. Looks good. Okay with it? Ms. Zorb's fine with it, so I have a motion to appoint Ms. Zorb as vice chair of Rules and Public Policy.
Mr. President, I'll second that.
Ms. Dukestein seconds that. Any discussion? No? No one wants to talk her out of it or anything? One last chance? No? Okay, well, no one wants to talk her out of it. Let's call the vote.
Ms. Jukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Miller Novak?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion to appoint Ms. Zorb to vice chair of Rules and Public Policy passes 6-0.
Congratulations. It's exciting. All right. Any other new business?
Mr. President.
Oh, no.
No, I'm sorry.
Ms.
I know
Underwood?
it's late and it's hot. Mr. Mosby, there was a lady that that we met who was interested in having a smaller recycle bin
Oh, yeah.
for her house. And I told her that I would check into it. And so I've called and asked, and they actually do exist, but I'm just wondering what we would need to do to get one of those smaller sized recycle bins instead of the great big one.
I'm not sure.
Citizen.
I do think I remember that. I did get a call from a citizen this morning. So I had informed this person, I don't know if it's the same one that you were speaking to, but that, I'll go ahead and forward the request to Rumpke. And then, of course, they will be the ones who will set up the arrangement to switch it with them.
Great.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any other new business? Look at you.
Mr.
I'm done.
Ms. Underwood's done?
Mr. Milanovec, I'm sorry, I had a question for Ms. Underwood.
Okay.
Is there any possible way you can send Mr. Mosby that name, and just in case it is a different person?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Going thrice?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb,
I motion we adjourn.
Mr. President, I'll second.
second. Any discussion?
Third it.
Anybody want to argue? No? Ms. Dukestein, no. That's clear now. All right, so we have a motion to adjourn by Ms. Zorb, and we have a second by Ms. Anderson.
Ms. Dukestein?
Yes.
Ms. Blythe?
Yes.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes.
Mr. Milanovec?
Yes.
Ms. Zorb?
Yes.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Motion to adjourn passes 6-0.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. Sorry about the heat.
Hey,
Come back in a few months.